Good morning, beloved community. Happy solstice. For those of you who are new, who don't know me, I'm Reverend Elisha Christopher. I am the spiritual director, senior minister of the Center for Spiritual Living here in Santa Cruz. I do use they, them pronouns. My ancestors come to us from all over the world, some of them indigenous to the Americas. The ones that we know immigrated here, we know came from Ireland, Scotland, Austria, and Holland. Let's take a couple breaths. Exhale. Take a deep breath in. And let it go. Another deep breath, breathe in, let go. One more deep breath, and let go. And so before you hear from me, we're going to get a poem from Molly. Invite up Molly Salins.
So this is from the goddess on this winter solstice, and she says, you have sunk, you have failed, unbutton your shirt, loosen your chest, shh, I tell you, dance, you failure, dance, shimmy your thoughts, shake your hips, you have sat far too long. Why, I ask, do you think of death so often? Shake those ashes off your toes. Dance, you crazy, dance. Unnotch that belt. Lift those thighs. This is no time to die. Come whirl under the night sky. Know that the moon borrows my light. Even she is not shy. Take my hands, my fingers spark. Throw off your clothes. Dance into the naked dark. Dance. Dance with me, dance. Turn under the swirling, sparkling stars. We will spin and spin and spin. It is long, this darkness, and the days are thin. Toss up your failures to the new round sun and turn them into fire thread. This slender flame is never still. Give in, step in, and dance, dance. Dance.
Thank you. So it's winter solstice. It is the darkest night, the shortest day, the coldest moment of the year. And magically enough, this winter solstice is also a new moon. It's like double darkness. Which I think, that's not a thing that happens all the time. The lunar cycle's on its own thing, the solar cycle's on its own thing, and every once in a while these things line up. And so it's just interesting to notice that on this particular winter solstice, it's also a new moon. And it feels most auspicious. It feels like a reflection to me of just a reminder of the kind of moment we're all living through. That there is this perceived extra sense of darkness around us. And again, for those of you who were here last night, our whole winter solstice celebration last night was, yes, about acknowledging and embracing the darkness, but also recognizing that this moment in the year offers us this promise that whenever we get to the darkest moment of the night, the darkest moment of the year, it's a reminder that we turn a corner. And that the light always comes back. No matter what kind of cycles we go through in our lives or in our history, we do come into these dark moments, but it always comes around that the dawn breaks. That winter begins to turn into spring, that the light begins to return. And, I've been thinking about this. Christmas is coming up this week, which I know many people probably celebrate. And, there's something about this time of the year that I know wakes something up in, I think, all people. There's something about this holiday season, this time of the year, that touches something really deep inside of us. And one of the things that I'm keenly aware of always is the story of the Christianization and colonization of the world, and how that has been layered on top of the various seasons and holidays that we experience. And, here in this place, we always acknowledge the indigenous people who came here before us. And I think that many people in spiritual communities, we often look to the indigenous traditions of the world as holding the great wisdom that many of us feel perhaps we've been separated from, or we don't have that in our lineage, especially if you have a white face. There's probably this sense that we don't have an indigenous history, but we do. Right? And I think something about the holiday season specifically and the celebrations of Christmas, they touch something in us that is deep and ancient. And I think especially for people who have European descent or people who live in the Christianized or Europeanized world, right? That you think about this symbol of the Christmas tree, which actually comes from the Yule tree, right? And the berries represent this promise that there's life that flourishes in the darkness, right? Think about many of our ancient ancestors who lived in the northern hemisphere of the world. When you think about times before electricity. Think about times before, plumbing and heating and all of that. Go back 500, 1,000 years, 2,000 years. Go back to parts of ancient Europe and the northern hemisphere. And what were people having to do? They're having to survive the darkest time of the year, when nothing is growing, when snow covers the ground. And yet, in the midst of that darkness, in the midst of that cold, you see the green fir tree that stays green the entire time, that sustains life, that is powerful, that gives us this symbol of something that sustains through the darkness. Right? Think about the ancient, Vikings and Norse people who had the god Odin, right? Who is an old guy with a beard. On the winter solstice, the darkest night of the year, he flies on an 8-legged horse over the land, punishing the bad and giving gifts to the good. Think about the Siberian shamans who ate little white and red mushrooms that grew at the base of the trees, saw flying reindeer and elves. Right? So much of all of the symbolism that makes up this holiday season, it comes from our ancient indigenous roots from Europe. And there was hundreds or thousands of years of the systematic removal of people from their indigenous roots. Right? When the Christian church and Constantine, there's a whole bunch of history there we're not going to go into, takes over the Roman Empire. Right? What happens is that everywhere they went, they told people, keep celebrating your holidays, but those red berries on that tree, that it's actually the blood of Jesus. Those thorns on that holly, that's that crown. So you've been doing it all along. And then you have the Inquisition and the witch trials, where all the wisdom keepers and the medicine people are purged from the land so that the history and the memories erased. But on some level, the symbols remain. The magic stays. We keep it alive. We keep these traditions alive. Even if there's been other stories and mythologies supplanted on top of it, something deep inside of us is awakened by the symbols of this season. The deep promise that planet Earth, that the Mother has given us for tens of thousands of years as our human ancestors all over the world went through the winter time and then saw that moment when it began to get brighter and warmer each and every day. We've built entire religions and mythologies and storylines to re-explain that thing. Right? All of the holidays that come through this time of year, whether it's Kwanzaa, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's Diwali, whether it's many, many other traditions we could name, all of them are coming back to this idea of the return of the light, the birth of the light, the promise of the light, the miracle of the light. And so in that, there's this deep reminder for us that when we go through dark times, the promise is there that we will emerge from it. And the call of the holidays, Think of our ancient ancestors having to huddle together in the house or around the fire to stay warm, to keep each other alive through the winter time. And so what do? We have parties, right? We have all the celebrations. But what are we doing? We're reminding ourselves that it's together that we survive the darkness. It's by coming together, by holding each other, by keeping each other fed, by sharing what we have, by keeping the fire alive, that we sustain each other through the dark times so that we can emerge together. Because no one survives the darkness on their own. No one survives the winter on their own. You know how the penguins do it in Antarctica? And they all come together and they just huddle, and then they take turns being on the outside and the inside, moving the heat so that you don't freeze, and then it's your turn to warm up, and then you go back out on the outside. No one of them would survive on their own. They would all die if they didn't huddle together. And so it's a reminder to us that we are stronger together, that it's in community, that it's in mutual support of each other that we can survive this darkness that we're living through. And the other thing that has been really up for me also, beyond looking at the Christmas season and solstice time, has also been this year in the Chinese calendar has been the year of the snake. And next year is the year of the horse. Right? And the snake's all about transformation. And funny thing, I love when God does little cute things for us. You know, we write our monthly themes for the Centers for Spiritual Living like a year and a half in advance, and then it goes through a whole process, and then they get published, and then we use them the following year. So many of you have met Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle from Oakland. She created this month's theme, which is shedding our skin. Checked in with Sunshine. When she wrote this a year and a half ago, she did not realize that this year was going to be the year of the snake and that we were going to finalize December with shedding our skin. Right? And to me, again, it's about shedding the layers. Shedding the layers of the stories that don't serve us, shedding the patterns that no longer serve us. How many of you have gone through something this year where it feels like something has been purged, taken away, ripped away, fallen away? Anybody gone through that this year? Oh, good. You've all been doing your homework. Right? The shedding is happening. And next year is the year of the horse, so giddy up. We're going for it. But we've had to prepare ourselves by letting go of all the baggage, by letting go of all the things that no longer serve us, by letting go of the old stories, and then claiming our truth. And if you do numerology and you do the thing where you add up the numbers of the year, and then you just boil them down to one number, 2025, 2 plus 2 plus 5 is a 9. Nines are all about completion of a cycle. Next year, 2026, is a 1. It's a brand new beginning, right? And so, the metaphors are anywhere. Humans can make meaning out of just about anything. It's completely available. Metaphors are metaphors. We just find meaning everywhere we look because truth is everywhere, right? Truth is absolutely everywhere if we're willing to look for it. And it's useful, and it's powerful, and it can inform us about how we're moving through our lives, and to remember that we've all been going through this transformational shedding year of the snake together. And a lot has fallen away in our individual lives, in our community, in our nation. A whole lot of stuff has been stripped away from us. But the thing I used to keep snakes when I was a kid, probably doesn't surprise many of you. Tarantulas too. And the thing about snakes when they shed their skin, it's because they've outgrown their form. That they become larger than themselves and have to crack open and leave the old exterior, and something larger emerges from the previous body. So let that be a lesson to all of us, that all that we've been shedding, all that's been stripped away from our nation, from our rights, from our lives, from our community, to our old building, to all the things that many of us have gone through that we feel like are being stripped away, remember that something greater, more powerful, more beautiful, more full of life, greater and truer is emerging from everything that's being stripped away from us. That this rebirthing process is happening, and something so much greater and so much more is emerging from all of this. And let that be a lesson to each one of us. That something greater is on its way. And I say this all the time. Everything necessary for our awakening, everything necessary for our joy, everything necessary for the next step is always available to us, but it's what we do with it. Right? There is a new day dawning. There is a greater us emerging. There is a greater story. Their light is returning, and we kind of have to be the ones to make it happen. The universe acts through us. And so we use the symbols, we use the truths, we use the metaphors, we use the stories to inspire us and to light us up, not so that we can passively just be like, the universe got it, but that we remember that there's a call, there's a charge, there's an activation that's poking us and saying, you have to do it. You have to stand up. You have to speak the truth. You know, I always like to say, Dr. King tells us the arc of the universe bends towards justice, but I think we have to bend it. Right? It doesn't bend on its own. We bend it. Through our activity, through our thinking, through our choices, through our votes, through the way that we exist and participate in life and support each other, we create a better world. And so let this solstice season and let this ending of the year of the snake, this time of transformation, this time of moving from darkness to light, let it all be a reminder that as we look into 2026, there are better days ahead. There are brighter days ahead. There's a greater version of us on the horizon. That's our vision. That's the call. That's the thing that must draw us forward, so that we don't just walk into the darkness and then just think that that's the direction we're going. I'm not doing that. I'm not willing to just let it all continue to dissolve and just go, well, there it goes. No. Use it as an invitation to rise up, to create, to be the light in someone else's life. If you see darkness, be the light. So breathe in and let it go. And let's just drop in a little deeper together. Take another breath. And so as we breathe together, I invite each one of us to really pay attention to that which is breathing. Because we can bring our attention to it, we can take control of it for a moment. But if you just let it be, there is something greater that is breathing these bodies. Because what I know is that there is one infinite presence, one seamless being that is living and breathing throughout the entirety of existence. That the one life, that the infinite one, is shining the sun, spiraling the galaxies, growing the trees, keeping this planet in its beautiful little tilt and its axis so we have seasons and days and nights. One life, one power, holding all things in perfect order. That one life is breathing these bodies. It is speaking these words. It is hearing them. It is playing the piano. It is the very building in which we sit. The manifest universe is the body of God. And each one of us are emanations of that one light. Each one of us are manifestations of that one life. And so let us remember this day that our lives are sacred, that indeed all life is sacred, and that we live in a sacred universe that is living, that is breathing, that is alive, that is awake and aware, and that we are part of a living planet. And she is our mother. She sustains us. And that everything that we need to know, all of the great lessons, all of the great truths, they exist in nature. And so we look to the seasons to remind us of how to move through the world. We let this darkest time of the year remind us that yes, times may get dark. Our days may get cold. But there is a moment when we turn the corner. There is a moment when the light begins to return, where the sun's warmth begins to grow stronger, where the leaves begin to grow, where the trees begin to flourish, where new life emerges. And so let the miracle of this season remind us that there is hope wherever we need it. That in any dark moment, we can remember that the light will return. We can remember that in the greatest moments of darkness, when the world is the coldest, we must huddle together. We must hold each other. We must care for each other. We must lift each other up. Because we are the way that the earth, that the universe, that life itself expresses, grows, evolves. We are the way that God experiences its own love. And so we share that love and that light with each other, knowing that that is what sustains us, heals us, and lifts us up. And so I'm just grateful for this beloved community, for this web of holding and mutual support, for this circle of seekers, knowing that each one of us are seeking our higher truth, our higher expression, our greater way of being. And that as we heal ourselves, we heal our community, and we bring that light to the world. And so as we move into Christmas this week, let us remember. Let us remember that each one of us is that only begotten son or daughter or child of the one who is sent here to be the light of the world. That the one who the angels sang for, that the shepherds and the wise men prophesied, it's each one of us. Because that light is who we are. And so let us awaken to the truth of who we are, and let us be the light of the world. And so it is. Amen.